Hello everyone, this is Mohan and welcome to the film Decoder.
Natasha, to love is to suffer. To avoid suffering, one must not love. But then one suffers from not loving. Therefore, to love is to suffer, not to love is to suffer. To suffer is to suffer. To be happy is to love. To be happy, then, is to suffer, but suffering makes one unhappy. Therefore, to be unhappy, one must love, or love to suffer, or suffer from too much happiness. I hope you're getting this down.
This paradoxical monologue from Woody Allen's Love and Death has raised a lot of questions in me about love, life, and happiness. Although these lines carry a lot of depth, what it essentially says is love and suffering are two sides of the same coin. There is a lot of suffering that comes with love, and it is love that gives you the strength to overcome the very suffering it creates. But just how much are we willing to suffer for love? By we, I mean the selfie generation for whom getting their jawline perfect is more important than caring for a fellow human. And even when we do care, it's only to make ourselves feel better. How much can we value love when we value ourselves by how others validate us? In an era where self-obsession is a way of life, is selfless love still possible? With countless options in our pockets, do we really have the patience or time to stick to one person and choose to go through the suffering that comes with love? Today, I want to talk about someone who showed me what it is to love someone without expectation, what it is to be selfless. Today, let's take a look at Dan from October. The movie is about selfless love, where Dan, a hotel management intern, shows unconditional love when his colleague Shuli goes into a coma. Dan is not particularly bright. He hates his job. He has troubles with his higher officials, and his irresponsibilities has taken him from front desk to killing flies outside the hotel. Shuli, on the contrary, is someone bright and responsible. She likes the October flowers, and she maybe, just maybe, have a soft spot for Dan. But before we get into the characters, let's look into an important tool that the writer used, which not only helped them explore the theme selfless love, but also kept the audience hooked throughout the movie. Control over information. To start with, there is only limited information as to whether these characters like each other or not. We are only shown few instances where Shuli being nice to Dan and Dan being rude to her. Though Dan pretends to be rude to Shuli, he shows special attention to her when he gives away alcohol to the rest of his friends. With this information, we cannot conclude on their relationship status. It could be a friendly sign, it could be infatuation, or it could be love. We don't know, nor does Dan. All these informations are given within the first 15 minutes of the movie, and this happens.
Where is Dan?
Shuli goes into a coma with her last words being, "Where is Dan?" Now, she could just be looking for her colleague. Or maybe she actually wanted to be around Dan. We don't know. As a matter of fact, this piece of information is kept away from both the audience and the characters in the movie. This question sows the seed for the movie, and what Dan does after this point has changed the way I looked at relationships. Initially, Dan seems a little more affected by the events than the rest of his friends. In fact, he spends more time with Shuli than her best friend. He involves himself in Shuli's family decisions and even roots for Shuli when her uncle suggests that they should let Shuli die.
Maybe she wants to live. Maybe kya? 100%.
He has already invested himself in this new world. It's only halfway through the movie Dan gets to know about Shuli's last words.
वो क्या बोलेगी तेरे बारे में उसने कुछ पूछा वेयर इज डैन बाकी यार नहीं बात करनी यार मूड ऑफ होता है
Although not sure what to make out of it, Dan's feeling for Shuli starts to grow even when his friends suggest against it.
Dan, I really don't think she was interested in you. और खुद ही सोचा तू और वो कोई chances नहीं है यार.
Irrespective of how Shuli felt about him, he continues to show his care and affection. In fact, he is the one who initiates Shuli's recovery process by bringing her her favorite flowers, which in turn activates her senses. If it isn't for Dan's care and affection, Shuli might not have recovered. When Shuli recognizes her family members and fails to recognize Dan, his belief is not broken.
She didn't even recognize you.
हाँ तो तुम्हारी पूरी फैमिली हिस्ट्री पूछ ली उसे. थक गई है obviously.
But when he asks Shuli in private,
Do you know Dan?
she identifies him. Maybe Dan was right about Shuli being tired the first time. Or maybe he's right about this.
मैं समझ गया तुमने क्यों नहीं पहचाना.
We don't know. This control over information plays an important role in this movie. It defines Dan's character. Had he known for sure that Shuli liked him, it would mean his actions have selfish motive. It would mean he is investing in a possible relationship. This lack of information makes Dan all the more selfless. As months pass by, he spends more time with Shuli, and as a result, he puts his internship in danger, screws up at work, distances himself from his friends and family, and ultimately gets fired. Even when Shuli's mother advises him to move on, and though Dan briefly works on a new job, his love for Shuli doesn't let him stay away for long. That is how far he is willing to go for love. The people around Dan represent our society. We might call Dan's actions impractical, but Dan's answer is,
तुम लोग इतने unaffected कैसे हो?
our actions are based on the chances of a desired result, but it isn't Dan's.
तुम लोग हर काम चांस हो तो ही करते हो क्या?
Only towards the end of the movie, Dan asks Shuli about her last words.
तुमने ये क्यों पूछा कि Where is Dan?
Though Shuli tries to respond, Dan doesn't insist on it. It doesn't matter to him anymore. As one last time, Dan puts Shuli into bed. She leaves the world without answering us or Dan about her feelings for him. This control over information was influential in creating a deep unrest in me. I craved for closure after this movie. And after a few days, I realized maybe few things are more beautiful left unsaid. Did Shuli love Dan? I don't know. It doesn't matter anymore. What's important is Dan gave us everything without being guaranteed any reward. In a generation filled with narcissists, Dan stands out from the rest of us, showing what it takes to be selfless. That's why, for a brief moment, every guy watching this movie wants to be Dan and every girl wants to be with him.